This is the story of a hero of space exploration. We're not talking about an astronaut or a cosmonaut, but of a true hero who sacrificed her life in the name of cosmic advancement. This is the story of Laika, a stray mongrel dog who was rescued from the streets of Moscow to become the first dog to go into space. The Faft of Fives were a time of discovery, notably the space race which was being contested by the US and the Soviet Union. The USSR launched the first manned-made satellite, Sputnik 1, in 1957. This was quickly followed by plans to send a living creature into space later that year. The early part of the second half of the 20th century was a different world, with ethics that misaligned with how we conduct research today. Using animals as a precursor to humans in experiments was the norm. While this is distasteful, it is a discussion for another video. Here, we will look at the heroics of Laika and what she accomplished. Laika's mission was scheduled for the 3rd of November, 1957. Prior to this, she underwent testing and preparation for her spaceflight. The tragedy here is that Laika's mission was a one-way trip. She would never return to Earth alive. Laika was made ready for the spaceflight in a capsule atop of the Sputnik 2 rocket. Various instruments to monitor her vital signs were also placed on board the capsule, as was food and water. The capsule was attached to the rocket, and the combination of rocket and capsule was moved to the launch pad. Sputnik 2 launched at the planned time and made its way into low Earth orbit to begin the revolutions around our planet. Sputnik 2 was a rush job. The satellite was constructed from rudimentary drawings, began just 4 weeks before the launch date, as the technology for a spacecraft to re-enter the atmosphere had not yet been developed. Soviet scientists had planned to euthanize Laika with poison in her food long before the dog would suffer from the consequences of starvation, thirst, or any other conditions brought about from exposure in space. The Soviet Union at the time was a secretive state, and the true nature of Laika's demise was not known until 2022. It was revealed she died of hypothermia, or overheating, hours into the mission. It became apparent the temperature control system of the capsule had failed due to a malfunction during the initial separation stages of the rocket. Monitoring equipment on Earth had determined she had died 7 hours into the flight. The capsule temperature had been recoded as being over 40 degrees Celsius during the initial stages into low Earth orbit. Before this, the Soviet regime had publicized the fact that Laika would have perished on day 6 when her oxygen supply ran out. Other Soviet reports stated she was euthanized on day 2 after eating poisoned food. It seems Laika did not suffer for days alone in space. Sputnik 2 completed 2570 orbits of Earth before disintegrating in the upper atmosphere on the 14th April 1958. The Soviet Union and the United States agreed that sending dogs into space on one-way missions was unethical and morally questionable. With the development of re-entry technology, future missions saw dogs and other creatures going into space and returning safely. There were, of course, accidents which saw these animals lose their lives, but as the move to human spaceflights took hold in the 1960s, these occurrences diminished entirely. Laika is remembered on the Monument to the Conquerors of Space in Moscow, a large titanium structure celebrating the professions of those involved in the advancement of space exploration. It seems fitting that Laika herself is depicted on the monument, which doesn't identify any named persons, and seems to raise her standing as the first living creature to visit space, and thus the first living creature to pay the ultimate sacrifice.